Welcome again to Family Dynamics with Bola, where we grow with our children, lean into God's wisdom, and embrace the beauty and mess of parenting. It's so good to see you, dear parents. So, today I want to talk about something that I find really, really interesting. It's something that I feel like every parent at one point or another wrestle with. Let's talk about how to stay consistent. You've probably heard that advice where people would say, kids run on consistency, or be consistent with the consequences, stick to routines, all these things, right? But what happens when, as a parent, you're tired, you're busy, you're stretched thin, or just plain overwhelmed? God knows I've been there. A couple of times I've been there. If you've ever said, I actually know what I should do, but I can't keep up. Or we start, with this thing that we want to do, we start off strong and then you sleep, right? Then this episode is for you. Let's dive deep into this episode, right? I want to get real with you. When you feel like consistency is really hard for you, it's not because you're lazy or it's because you're failing or anything of that sort, right? You're just a parent that is doing your best in this world. And we know that this world is constantly pulling at our attention, at our energy, at our mental load, right? I remember I worked with one parent. I worked with a mom, right? And she's a mom of three. She had this beautifully color coded chart. It only lasted a week. After about a week, this is what you need to do at this time. This is what this person needs to do. Our youngest daughter fell sick. Something went wrong with her car, and guess what? She was back to survivor mode. When we were having that conversation, she was like, Bola, I don't know. I felt like a failure at that time. I was just too exhausted. How do I keep up? But here's the truth, and that's what I told her. Consistency is not about perfection. It's all about you returning back to what you've said. It's about you, when you sleep, because we will, right? God knows I've been trying to be consistent on this podcast, but sometimes things happen and you're not able to. So you don't have to be 100% all the time, right? What truly matter is that pattern that you are building over time. When you sleep, you return back. And I thought about it. So why do we think consistency matter in life? Because if we are not consistent, it's kind of a little bit like an hypocrisy when we're trying to teach our children to be consistent. And we know that they need consistency. If you've ever studied math, you know that you need to be consistent in solving those problems, sometimes over and over, for you to understand it. Consistency actually builds safety for children. When kids know what to expect, they feel secure. They know that, okay, this is what I'm going to meet, this is what this is. They are secure. And another thing consistency would do for you, it builds trust. When your children know that this is how dad is, this is how mom is, they trust your word and they follow your lead. And another thing that I would love to talk about is consistency actually builds character. When you're consistent, it speaks to discipline, patience, responsibility. They have what they need to do per day. Maybe you already have this routine that you've put together. And like I said, sometimes things happen, you deviate, but the most important thing is you come back. And consistency for you as a parent builds peace for you. You're not constantly trying to figure out what to do. It helps you to feel anchored, and it keeps little things, from becoming big things. You're able to fix things on time. So, yes, let's talk about some practical ways that we can stay consistent, even when you're worn out, when you're tired, when you're busy, right? The first thing you want to do is this: define for you what consistency means. What does it mean to you right now in this season of life that you are in to be consistent? So I want you to ask yourself, what's one thing that I want to be consistent about in this season? Just pick one thing that you would love to be consistent about. Is it their morning routine? Is it maybe we want to work on respectful language? Is it we want to take away screen time during dinner or something? Or we want to take walks? Something that you want to stay consistent with. And remember, consistency doesn't mean you're doing it every day perfectly. It just means you keep returning to your core values over and over and over again. And another thing that I've found out that has worked over time for me is to just simplify your systems, right? When you're trying to do too much, yeah, my hands are up, you feel overwhelmed. You get to a place where everything, I'm trying to clean the room, I'm trying to do this and all that. You feel overwhelmed. Choose just one routine, right? And stick to it. Simplify your systems. When instructions are too complex for children, they probably would not listen to it. You can have, like, for example, you can have a 3-minute tidy up thing before dinner. Like, okay, dinner is gonna be ready. Get your room clean. Get this done. Just make your systems very simple. You can have get ready checklist on your fridge. Okay, do we have this? And when you have systems in place, you don't even have to struggle, because over time, the kids already know what they need to do, right? And you can just have something that just makes that system work for you. You don't really need a full chart or geometries, just one simple, repeatable system, right? So, another practical ways that we can stay consistent is to automate whatever you can. I mean, this would save you time, it would save you stress, it will save everything that can be saved. Sometimes your brain is tired. So when it is tired, let your environment do the work for you. Set alarms, have visual charts, pre-written lists for things that they need to do. It will help you to just reduce the emotional energy that you would want to channel into something that is not really productive, and it will help you to stay consistent. And one thing as parents that we can't forget to do when we want to stay consistent, or we want our children to stay consistent, is to use our words consistently. We don't have to yell. When they understand, kids, you have to explain things to them over and over. When you say something repeatedly to them, it will stick one day. It might be like the 99th time, but when you say consistent with your words, they would learn. When it comes to your value system, you say consistent with what you're saying. In this family, no, We don't do that. In this family, we speak kindly. Maybe they've done, they said something not too kind to their sibling, right? You can try again. As we say those words consistently, they become anchors, even when the rest of our days were tired and we're feeling just like today is just an interesting day. But when we speak consistently, they would learn. And last thing that I want to talk about, practical things that we could do to stay consistent, is give yourself grace. As a parent, give yourself grace, right? When you sleep, gently bring yourself back. I don't think there's any parent that doesn't fall off the track. But the power is in how we actually reset. Instead of you beating yourself up or spiral down with guilt and all that, or you overcorrecting them with big punishment, you want to hone up. Tell them. You can say, let's say they did something and then you yelled at them or something. You're like, oh, wow, I didn't handle that the way I would have wanted. You know what? Let's try again. Or if you've been off, or let's say something has happened and your schedule didn't permit you, we've been off rhythm. Let's bring everything back together again. So consistent parenting requires you to give grace to yourself. It does. And I want to encourage you, parents, today, as you like to stay consistent, as you would love for your kids to be consistent, as you would love your parenting to be consistent, the things, your values, and all that, give grace to yourself when you fall. Just reset. You extend grace to others, so extend grace to yourself. If there's nothing that you remember from this podcast today, I want you to remember this one thing. Consistency is not about you being perfect. It's about you being present and persistent. It's about you knowing that you might not get it 100% of the time, right? It's about you knowing that you will have off days. You will forget things, but you keep returning to your why. And your children will feel this when you do that. So today I want you to pause, reset, and keep going. Your children, they don't need a perfect parent. I know we've been talking about this a lot. They need a parent who keeps showing up with love, with truth, and with grace. Thank you so much for listening in today. I hope you've been blessed. Until I see you next time, be kind to yourself. You're building something really, really beautiful. This is Family Dynamics with Bola.